What's up, folks? How's it going? I'm coming to you extra bright today because we're going to do some show and tell, man, pertaining to some topics we've been covering recently, more specifically Nazis, man. So I have some war relics to show you. These are all things that my grandfather collected in Germany back in the big WW2. Just to give you a little background, if anyone gives a shit. My grandfather was in an engineering battalion or regiment or whatever the hell it was. They built bridges. He was originally supposed to be, building the bridges, but when it was discovered that he could type, and type quite well because he was an accountant, before the war he became the regimental or company typist or whatever. So maybe not as glorious of a job as some of your grandparents, but necessary and kept him alive, so I am here today. So we can all thank everybody that my grandfather knew how to type. But all these items, as far as I understand, were collected in and about a barracks that they were billeted in that used to belong to Luftwaffe anti-aircraft artillery or searchlight crew. He's not sure which. But that's where all this stuff comes from. So, and I'm sure people like that little creep Death SS head and people like him get real jealous about this stuff because they aren't badass enough to get their hands on this kind of shit. But the difference between me and Death SS head is that I don't play with myself and put on the helmet at the same time. So with that mentioned, we'll start with the first item, which is usually the most interesting and recognizable to everybody, is the helmet, which you can see here. Like I said before, you ask, it doesn't fit me. It is way too small. But this is your standard Wehrmacht helmet right here, in great condition. A lot lighter than you'd expect. It's pretty thin, but then again, what a lot of people need to understand is that a helmet is not supposed to stop gunfire. It's supposed to protect you from shrapnel and whatnot. That's the point, okay? And in that regard, this is a good helmet, and possibly better than our helmets at the time, because you see these flares coming off here, and the little visor helps protect more of the face and ears and eyes from shrapnel, all right? Which is the main goal with this helmet. The second item on our list here is another piece of headgear. Just this hat here. Alright? Now, unfortunately, I don't have very much to tell you about this because I don't know a lot about it. Alright? It's real easy to find, explanations of rank and whatnot for the German army in World War II. I have had no luck in finding concrete explanations of what the different shit on the hat means. Okay, I mean, we have silver Oakleys. What does that mean? Is that a rank identifier, or is that a branch of the military identifier? I'm not sure. The problem with this piece is that it's in otherwise great condition, but it is missing the chin strap, which is a problem because in some uniforms that's also an indication of rank. All right, so if anyone knows someplace to find out this kind of information, that'd be fucking great. But right now, it's just a cool hat here. Get a little bit closer up, you can see the swastika, the eagle, and all that shit. So this is pretty cool. And this stuff is in all the better condition, considering it's spent since 1945. It's been sitting in a cardboard box on the floor in a basement, which doesn't. It isn't the best way to keep those kinds of things safe. Next we have here is a gas mask. I have two gas masks, two different kinds of gas masks. Now, this might be a shot in the dark, but I believe that this is one of the cheaper mass production gas masks that was made for auxiliary troops and for civilians and whatnot. I know it's a German gas mask because if you can see here, you can see the eagle stamp right there. It's easier to see it from here, but it's the eagle stamp. It even has I believe it has a date of manufacture. Maybe that's on the other one. That's on the other one. But yeah, we have one of the cheaper mass production gas masks here, which is in good condition. We have another gas mask here, which is in its case, which I, for the longest time, thought was for ammunition. I'm wrong. All right. Who knows? You might have seen this. You might have seen this on the backs of a lot of those characters you've been killing in those video games all these years. Open up the top here. Extract your gas mask. All right. Let's see here. This is a much better gas mask than the first one that I showed you. Much better construction, in really good condition. You can see the date of manufacture, or at least a date of inspection, possibly, because we have 2 date stamps here. Well, actually, we have 2 date stamps here. You can see. I don't know if you can see that. It says 1940 right there, and then on this side we have it's stamped 1942. I don't know if you can see that, and then you can see the eagle and the swastika stamp right here in the bottom. So I don't know why it's stamped twice. Maybe these are inspection stamps. I'm not sure. The other interesting thing about this piece is the gentleman has sewn his name onto the strap here. So that's kind of a cool piece of history right there. I believe that this mask does not go to this case because the cool thing about this case here, there's this little compartment inside the lid, and the gentleman has put his name on a slip of paper. I don't know if you can read that. Schweidler is the guy's name, I guess. So it's a cool little compartment. I don't know if that's what the compartment's for. I don't know, am I missing a piece? I'm not sure, but that's what's going on with that. So we just pop our mask right back in there. And the mask is in such good condition that I think if you were to put a new cartridge in it, it would probably still work. Here, maybe not the most glamorous or interesting of pieces, but show it to you because of how good condition it is. It's the Wehrmacht standard issue canteen here, and it is in much better condition than the replicas that I saw pictures of online. I'd use it, right? So it's kind of cool. Oh shit! And then we have a bayonet. Now, I know it is a bayonet because see these little slots. Alright. See these slots in here. Now the interesting thing about the bayonet, never having held a bayonet myself, is it is not sharp really at all. At least along the blade here. And it's not as if it's dulled. I mean, it was never sharpened. The point's been broken off, but this just illustrates that this is for stabbing, right? Not for cutting. Another good indication of it being a bayonet. I don't know what kind of gun this goes to. For all I know, it could be American. All right, I'm not an expert on that kind of thing, but I imagine that if my grandfather brought it home with him, it must have been German and interesting, at least to him. So kind of cool. And it's scabbard or whatever the fuck you want to call it is still in really good condition. Snap that together. What else? Let's see here. These are just some personal knives that he collected. This one is interesting, and I'm going to show it to you just because of the initials of GVM. Oh man, you guys can't see that. That sucks. But GVM, usually the V is a von, so maybe I have some very important German person's family heirloom. That's just too fucking bad. But really cool bone handle here and shit, so let's just hold it up. What else? Anything else in here that is interesting? Army mess kit from the First World War. I don't know how the fuck that got in there. pups. I don't know, man. I'm looking for this. Where the hell is it? You gotta be shitting me. Huh. Well, I wanted to show you a German mess kit thing, I believe, or a German MRE type thing, but I can't seem to locate it. Oh well, I promise you it wasn't that interesting, but it was just a little bit of cool Nazi shit, man. So you know, we're gonna see more of these sorts of things getting out into the world as the old people die. Just like recently in the last decade, there's been a lot of samurai swords on the market now because of all these swords that people are finding in their grandparents' attics after they die. All these guys have brought home, you know, multiple samurai swords with them. So I'm sure there's lots of German paraphernalia out there too. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to find that shit in your attic or in your basement, man. You know, and take good care of this stuff. You know, this is. I mean, these things might be worth some money. I don't know. But I wouldn't recommend selling this kind of thing. I mean, these things are pieces of personal history that you can pass on to your children. You know, just to give them, you know, it helps people to have something that they can touch. You know, it makes things a little bit more real, and especially like with the name tag on the mask adds a little bit of personal touch in there. You know, so these are really unique, you know, pieces of military history, and there's lots of it floating around out there to find, but I thought I'd do a little show and tell. You know, I think I'm going to cover a couple more things fascism related as I go through Mein Kampf and read it again, because there's some things I want to cover. All right, but one thing I want to touch on is several people that continue to argue with me that Nazis are not fascists. Okay, look, all right, let me explain this to you. Fascism is lots of things fall within it. All right, look at the Nazis. The Nazis take the fascist economic policies of the Italians, and they use those, but they combine it with a very German way of doing things and a very strong racist ideology in there. So what we have with Nazism is not pure fascism, but it's fascism. You know, it's altered fascism. It's probably improved fascism. You know, because the tactics that Hitler used were much more effective in controlling his population than the tactics that Mussolini used. Okay, so that's why I choose to use National Socialism as my basis for examining fascism. Okay, it's the most successful form of the government. It's the most recognizable form of the government. Okay, so that's why I choose to use it. If you don't want to do it that way, that's fine. But that's how I choose to explain fascism to people, and that's the type of fascism that I choose to cover. All right, just like there's different kinds of democracies and different kinds of republics or whatever. This is just the kind of fascist government that I choose to cover. All right, so we'll go over some of that shit. It should be interesting, but I'll talk to you folks later.